So, in the previous class, we have started with grid slabs. Uh, the grid slabs are used to cover large floor areas. They are one of the alternatives to cover the large column-free floor areas. In the previous course, we have studied design of flat slab, which are also one of the alternative to cover the large column-free area, floor area. These are used for large halls, used for marriage purpose or any other public gathering purpose. And public areas, auditoriums, lecture halls, showrooms, theaters, entrances of college buildings or office buildings, halls in hotels, and many more. Sometimes they are also provided for architectural purposes. Usually they are used to cover span ranging from 10 meter to 25 meter. Uh, uh, Basically, these grid floors are the long span beams placed at regular intervals in both the directions with monolithic slab on top of it. They are also sometimes called as coffered floors, ribbed slabs, waffle slabs, or even sometimes voided slabs. So, and this picture shows one of the example of grid floor. Now, depending on the placements of the floor in two directions, it can be an orthogonal grid floor and or a diagrid. In orthogonal grid floors, the beams in both the directions are perpendicular to each other. So, and if the spacing in both the directions, spacing of the beams in both the directions are same, then it is square orthogonal grids. And if the spacing in both the directions are different, then it is a rectangular orthogonal grid floors. In diagrids, beams intersect diagonally. So, this is an example of square orthogonal grid floor. This is rectangular orthogonal grid floor, and this is diagrid. Sometimes a portion of this ribbed floor may be provided with solid slab near the negative bending moments, because for negative bending moment, the ribs act as a rectangular section because the flanges will be in tension. So, so only the rectangular portion of the T section will be effective. So hence, the zone near negative bending moment are made sometimes solid slab. Then the size of the beams and toppings. The spacing of the beam is usually between 1 meter to 2 meter. Sometimes even less than 1 meter, around 0.75 meter is also provided. Then the depth of the beam is usually between 1 by 25th to 1 by 20th of the span, depending upon load intensity. Then the width of the beam is kept around 1/3 to 1/4 of the depth, but not less than 1/4 of the uh, rib depth, or 65 mm, whichever is more. Then related to topping slab, the thickness of the topping slab is quite less since the span of the slab is less. So usually the thickness of the topping slab is not governed by the deflection criteria which we use for the normal slab. Uh, since the spans in both the directions are very less, uh, 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 their they are always the deflection criteria are always satisfied. So, hence the reinforcements in topping slabs are provided at the center to take care of both positive as well as negative moments. And so the minimum thickness to be provided for topping slab should be twice the cover plus the bar diameter. Then the analysis of these grid floors. There are various methods. You can use finite element method using computer codes or commercially available packages. You may use plate theory, such as Timoshenko's plate theory is available. Then IS codes also give recommendations to design such ribbed or voided slabs, provided certain conditions are met. Then Rankine's Grashof method is there. Uh, so, so in this course, we'll be discussing more about the IS code recommendations and Rankine's Grashof methods. So today, uh, let us go through some IS code recommendations. So, so reference shall be made to IS 456. Uh, this clause 30. It gives clauses related to ribbed, hollow block, or voided slabs. Okay. So, so some of the important codal provisions are IS code permits the analysis of grid flow as solid slab provided the following requirements are satisfied. Okay, so you can design the grid floors as a solid slab provided the following conditions are met. So first condition is the spacing of the beam should not be more than 1.5 meter. Then the depth of the beam excluding topping slab should not be more than 4 times the width of beam. The width of the beam should not be less than 65 mm. Fourth case, when edges built into the wall or rests on beam, rib, the width of the rib the width of the rib should be at least as wide as the bearing. Should be should be should be at least the width of bearing. This is for the portion of the slab resting on some walls. Suppose suppose that these are that means suppose this is the wall, and suppose we have a grid floor. Then at so the end beams which are provided, they should have at least this much width. So this the end beams which are provided so these are the end beams. So their width of end beams should be at least equal to the width of the bearing. This is the width of the wall. So at least should be equal to width of bearing. Means the support width. So if these conditions are met, then the design moments, if these conditions are met, then design moments per unit width of floor system may be obtained obtained using moment coefficients given in IS code. Using moment coefficients given in table 26 of IS 456 2000. Okay, so if these criteria are met, then we can design these grid floors as a solid slab by considering the design moments per unit width of the floor uh, using the moment coefficients from table 26 of IS 456 2000. Now, the second theory uh, of analysis is Denkine's-Bessoff method. See, the IS codes are given here also. You can go through that. See, in the size and position of the ribs. In situ rib shall not be less than 65 mm. So, which is the third criteria. The width of the beam should not be less than 65 mm. Then they shall be spaced at center not greater than 1.5 meter apart, and the depth excluding topping shall not be more than 4 times their width. So these are the conditions, first and second conditions. Spacing of the beam should not be greater than 1.5. The depth of the beam excluding topping shall not be more than 4 times the width of the beam. Then generally the ribs shall be formed along each edge parallel to the span of one-way slab. When the edge is built into a wall or rests on a beam, a rib at least as big as the bearing shall be formed along the edge. Okay, so these clauses are given in IS 456. So here I mentioned clause 30.5, page 52, IS 456 2000. Now let us go through the next method, that is Denkine's-Bessoff method. To understand this method, consider a panel of slab and consider the two strips in the along in x direction and y direction. Let this be y, this be x. Let this be A point, this is B, this is C, and this be D, and let this be E point, this be F, G, and H. Let this span length along x direction be Lx, and the span length along the y direction be Ly. Now consider the two strips EF and GH in x and y direction. Let the load on this strip be Q1 and the load on this strip be Q2. Okay. So what is Q1? Q1 and Q2 are the load shared in x and y direction respectively. Now consider this strip EF. It is loaded with UDL of intensity Q1 and supported at A and B, E and F. This span length is Lx. Okay, we are considering this strip and let it deflects like this. So the deflection deflects the deflection at the center, let it be delta, that will be equal to 5 by 384 Q1 Lx raised to the power 4. Okay. Similarly, consider the strip in y direction. And it is loaded with UDL of intensity Q2. Okay, this is G and this is H. Okay. And it is supported at G and H. and this length is Ly. Now let the deflection at the center this be delta. Let us call this as delta 2 and this as delta 1 equals to pi by 384 times q2 Ly raised to the power 4. Okay. Now let us say this point is P, which is the center of this slab. Okay. So this deflection is actually at the P point. Okay. This is at P point, and this is also at the P point. This is point P. This is point P. Now, according to Rankine's-Grashof method, the load shared in both the directions are proportional to the deflections in the two strip. Okay, so according to Rankine's-Grashof method, the load shared are proportional to Q1, the load shared in X and Y direction, that is Q1 and Q2, are proportional to the deflection of the two strips. Deflection of the strips at midpoint. The load shared in X and Y direction are proportional such that the deflection of the strips at midpoint is same. That means this strip and this strip will deflect by same amount. That is delta 1 equals to delta 2 equals to delta. Okay, mark this as number 1. And also Q1 plus Q2 will be equal to Q, where Q is the uh, intensity of the load on the slab. Q is the intensity of the load on the slab. Okay, out of which let us say Q1 proportion is shared by EF and Q2 is the proportion shared by GH. This is number 2. So now from 1 delta should be equal to this value 5 by 384 Q1 Lx raised to 4 equals to this value 5 by 84 Q2 L by Q2 L by raised to the 4. Now this gets cancelled. So we can say Q1 is equal to Q2 times Ly by Lx raised to the power 4, or we can write Q2 is into R raised to the power 4, where R is the ratio of Ly by Lx. Where R is equals to Ly by Lx. Okay, so from now substitute this value of Q1 in 2, you will get Q1, which is in terms of Q2. If you take Q2 as common, so it will be 1 plus R raised to the power 4. So simply it is Q1 plus Q2 is equal to Q, and I substitute the value of Q1, which is Q2 times R raised to the power 4 plus Q2 equals to Q. So taking Q2 as common, it would be 1 plus R raised to the power 4, interchange the terms, equals to Q. So therefore we can write Q2 will be equal to Q divided by 1 plus R raised to the power 4, where Q is the intensity of the load on the slab and R is the ratio of Ly by Lx. Okay. And similarly, substituting the value of Q2 in this, you will get the value of Q1. So and Q2 and Q1 is equals to 2 times R raised to the power 4 divided by 1 plus R raised to the power 4. So you have the values of Q1 and Q2 in terms of the intensity of the load on the slab. Now you can find the bending moments. So the maximum bending moment maximum bending moment R M1 will be equal to, or mx, let us call mx for in x direction, it will be q1 times lx square by 8. Okay, q1 is the intensity of the load in strip along x direction. So substitute the value of this q1, which is equal to q times r raised to the power 4 times lx square divided by 8 into 1 plus r raised to the power 4, and similarly my will be equal to q2 ly square by 8, and q2 is q times ly square by 8 times 1 plus r raised to the power 4. Okay, so these are the moments in x and y direction. Now once you have the moments in x and y direction, you can find the area of the steel required to resist this moment. Okay, so with this we stop here, and in the next class we'll go through the examples related to both these method, IS method, in which uh, these conditions are satisfied. Then we'll use IS method, and we'll take another example which will be using Rankine-Grashof method. So if you have any doubt, we can discuss now. So today we have covered two theories. One is IS code recommendations, okay, and second is Rankine-Grashof method. And in Rankine-Grashof method, we found the load shared by the strips in x and y directions, and then what will be the moment in x and y direction strips. So using these moments in x and y direction strips, we can find the steel required to resist this moment. So basically, the Rankine-Grashof method, it assumes that the load shared in both the strips are such that the deflections of the strip in both directions are same at midpoint. So the deflection of this strip at P point and deflection of this strip at P point should be equal. Okay, so 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 this is the main is equal to deflection. This is what the Rankine-Grashof method states. So deflection at midpoint, at midpoint, deflection of both the strips should be same. This is Rankine-Grashof method. And now you can substitute the values of these deflections in terms of the load shared by each strips. You will get a relation of the load shared by each strip in proportion to the total load on the slab, and from that you can find the loads, the bending moments in each strips. Okay, so that's it for today's lecture. In the next class, we'll take examples and understand both these methods, IS code recommendations, as well as the Rankine's Place-Off method.